Hey guys, just before I start this video, just want to say I do stream on Twitch, so please do check out the link here or click the link in the video description to take you to my channel. Hopefully you can interact with us, play some games with us, and maybe talk phones. Anyway, enjoy the video. The 2-year-old stock beasts, the Nexus 5 and the iPhone 5S, arguably two of the most important phones. The iPhone went 64-bit and started the race to the best fingerprint scanner, and the Nexus went 1080p. Hey guys, my name is Ryan Thomas with Failtech, and this is my take on the Nexus 5 and the iPhone 5S going head to head in 2017. The Nexus 5 is known to go into a lot of boot loops, and the one featured in this video has gone into boot loop a handful of times. Just thought I'd point out that issue. Also, the iPhone 5S's battery tends to completely die after about 2 years of ownership, so just keep these in mind when you're searching for the phone. Both these phones are fairly cheap and anywhere between £100 and £200, which seems to be a recurring theme throughout the videos recently actually, and they came out in late 2013, making them almost 4 years old now. It surprises me, as I researched the specs, I didn't feel like this is as long as 4 years ago. It felt like 2 months ago or something. No, but really, they are definitely older than I thought they were. The designs and build qualities of these phones are very different. The plastic and software nav buttons of the 5-inch form factor of the Nexus 5, the metal chamfers and hardware home button on the 4-inch form factor of the iPhone 5S are both very different, and the Nexus 5's plastic design is classy and ergonomic, with a rounded back and engraved Nexus logo that stands out, ironically. Then there's the iPhone 5S with a petite metal and glass design with chamfered edges that's naturally ergonomic due to its small chassis. It's only when you have really tiny hands that it becomes a struggle, but I'm yet to find someone who has hands that small. I'm a big fan of the iPhone 5S's design due to its easy one-hand ability, and the unique ability to stand up on itself just makes my life as a reviewer a little bit easier. The screens are both similar in terms of their technology, being IPS panels with great viewing angles and excellent color reproduction accuracy, but the lack of pop and high saturation that you'd get with something like an OLED panel means that they're not as fun to look at. Also, they don't get as bright outdoors compared to those panels, but the size is a big difference, as the Nexus 5 is supporting a 25% larger panel than the 5S. Personally, I prefer the smaller panel here due to the ergonomics, but if a 5.5-inch display was offered, I'd pick that. I just find the 5-inch form factor a bit weird personally. Content consumption will be better on the Nexus for sure due to its bigger and more pixel dense screen. Browsing social media and consuming video is a breeze on both of these devices, but even more so on the Nexus 5 due to the fact it's just plain bigger. Also, I do feel like Android does make use of that screen real estate just a little bit better. The cameras on these phones are similar in terms of spec and both feature 8-megapixel cameras with slowish glass, where the Nexus has OIS and the iPhone doesn't. The 1080p videos and 8-megapixel photos coming from both of these phones are alright, but nothing special. Phones like the Z3, the G3 and S5 will all produce much better photos and much better video in the same price range. At least the 5S can shoot 720p at 120 FPS, which is a bonus for slow motion. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but these phones will be better than the majority of low to mid-range modern phones due to the dynamic range and quality of the glass being used, but I just tend to feel that there are much better phones in this price range, like I said, such as the G3 and the Z3, that just produce much better photos and videos, and they cost the same amount. The secondary cameras are equally underwhelming, with the 1.2 and 1.3 megapixel sensors in the 5S and the Nexus 5 respectively, with f2.4 glass on both. I mean, they'll do for Snapchat, but I feel like a broken record, they're nothing special. For performance, you're getting the creme de la creme when it comes to optimization for this generation and this age. So we have a Snapdragon 800 quad-core chip with 2GB of RAM on the Nexus 5, and Apple A7 dual-core chip with 1GB of RAM on the 5S. However, the 5S boxes with the Nexus 5 and wins in a lot of scenarios, which I feel is a lot to do with the software, but you also have to consider that the display is smaller in resolution, meaning there are fewer pixels to power, and it means that it doesn't have to work as hard. I feel like the 5S is just a little bit more responsive when it comes to moving around the OS and switching between apps though. The software is the reason to buy either of these phones. With the bone stock optimized operating systems, this means you get, in my opinion, the cleanest looking aesthetic, along with the seamless and well-fitting stock apps that work well in the respected ecosystems. I love iOS and I love stock Android. I couldn't pick out the two, but I must say that with this iPhone, you're getting the latest software as stock, whereas the Nexus 5 limits you to 6.0 unless you install your own software via sideloading it. Either way, you'd be hard pressed to find an app that won't run easily on both of these devices, so compatibility isn't an issue, and I really do feel like this is the best way to experience Android and the kind of only way to experience iOS. The batteries on these phones are rather different. Let's start off with the 5S. You're getting a 1560 mAh battery on it, which will give you anywhere from 3 to 4 hours of screen on time if you're lucky, although you may want to have your battery professionally replaced as they can degrade massively over time, as I said before. The Nexus 5 gives you a much bigger 2300 mAh battery, but it's still small. but it gives you an extra 740 mAh and around the same screen on time. For standby time, these two are the kings, with both units lasting me a good 3 to 5 days on standby whilst being in a drawer of my phones to review. Both phones offer a bottom-firing audio listening experience, with the 5S giving a slightly better sound in terms of the low end in my opinion. Still use headphones if you want a decent listening experience. Of course, you're getting USB 2.0 on both in form of the micro B connector on the Nexus 5 and a Lightning on the iPhone 5S. You also get the headphone jack and no real extra features, unfortunately. The 5S does offer a fingerprint scanner. It's the first revision of Touch ID to be precise, actually the same scanner found on the iPhone 6 and the iPhone SE, a much newer phone. The Nexus 5 doesn't offer such a luxury, unfortunately, and I do feel like the features are kind of lacking in both. Conclusion time, what do I think? Due to the nicer build, design, and inclusion of a fingerprint scanner, I'm going with the 5S. But let me know what you think in the comments. Please do like or dislike depending on your thoughts, and please subscribe if you're new around here. I've been Ryan Thomas with Failtech, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.